So anyone who's watched my videos before will probably know by now that my son has autism, PDA, ADHD, picker and Tourette's. And my youngest is very highly energetic. She's just completely feral. So yesterday was December the 1st. And all you other mums out there with autistic children are probably relating to how tired I look right now. I'm doing this vlog quickly while they're upstairs. They're both having quiet time in the room. They've both chosen to do that off their own backs. So I thought I'd jump on quickly and talk to you guys here. I'm absolutely exhausted. In about an hour, I am going to be doing a uni thing over Teams for a presentation that we're going to do, a group presentation. So we're all jumping on and going to be discussing that, and I feel really, really drained and exhausted. It's the last thing I want to be doing, but needs must right now. So as I was saying, yesterday was the 1st of December, and the excitement of the day of the elves arriving was very overwhelming and overstimulating for my children. It also didn't help that I had to get an emergency dental appointment for myself. So obviously that threw a spanner in the works because it completely upset what I'd laid out as being the day's plans when I'd been telling Auntie what was going to be happening with the day in advance. So yeah, I upset the apple cart there by having to go and get emergency dental treatment. We ended up being a little bit late for the science show that we went to, and it was just chaotic. He was moaning about going in, and he wasn't having a meltdown or anything like that. He was just expressing how unhappy he was with the situation, whilst his sister next to him was really, really excited and expressing how excited she was about going. So it can be a juggle sometimes trying to meet both of their needs. So we went, get in there. I've got Anthony sat next to me, sulking, refusing to engage in anything, and in ways meeting that with their own energy, which is very excitable, very energetic, and is getting very, very involved loudly. I mean, all the children were, they were all cheering, they were all whooping in. It was an interactive show, they were meant to, but you could hear Nimue over the rest. Anthony got more involved as we went around the exhibit bit, which is all interactive, like interactive machines you can play with. If you watched one of my vlogs from yesterday, you'd probably have seen that in the vlog. It's a brilliant place. We absolutely love it. The kids love it in there. And obviously Nimue was just in her element there too. So that was nice, but she did get a bit wild towards the end, and it took me about half an hour to actually coax her out of the building. That was emotional and a half. Because Anthony was already in the car. He'd made himself clear, I'm going, we're done now, this is it. Went and got in the car, and I'm struggling to get Nimue out of the place. Bear with me, they've just come down. I don't even know where I'm up to now, because Anthony's just walked in and interrupted me because my eldest was on the phone kicking off about her brother, my second child. So yeah, all fun and games here. Yes, so I'd been the dentist, I'd had some work done, and obviously that depletes my cortisol, and being steroid dependent because of my adrenal disease. I don't have any working adrenal glands or a working pituitary gland, so I take medication. I've discussed it in previous videos. Yeah, I take medication, and I have to guess how much to compensate with when I have stuff like dental work done. And obviously when you're guessing, there's a lot of room for error. And with the additional pressures on top, I miscalculated slightly. So I'm feeling it today still. I'm absolutely knackered. I mean, I'm channeling me in a Baba Yaga here. I can see how awful I look in the camera. But I said I was going to try and do Vlogmas, and I missed yesterday's because of how rough I was after the dentist. So I'm making an effort, and you've got me here today in my pyjamas with me washing in the background, kids in and out, and the phone going constantly. But that's the reality of life, isn't it? So there you go. But any mum with a child who's got autism will be able to confirm that December can just be like an emotional roller coaster for them and for us. The excitement, the change in routine, the expectation of the holiday magic. It can really, really throw our children off kilter. And that can leave us as parents feeling really overwhelmed as well. We burn ourselves out trying to navigate all these changes so everyone's needs in the families are met, that a lot of the time us mums also forget about our own needs. So my first reminder in this post is to just breathe. Like a proper breathing. Just go, give yourself 5 minutes, breathing in and out rhythmically, just to ground and center yourself, because no doubt we can all do with that right now. But also to remind you that it's important that we set at least 10 minutes time aside each day. And I say that, but I was still sat on that couch at about 3 o'clock this morning, just unwinding and trying to process the sheer exhaustion that I was left with from that day mentally. My insomnia is bad at the minute anyway, so that didn't help at all. So yeah, I was sat there till stupid o'clock in the morning and was up really, really early again. I'm honestly feeling drained at this moment in time. And this isn't just something that affects home educating parents, this is something that affects every parent, especially parents of children with ASD and additional needs. But it is all parents, because all children get overexcited this time of year. I mean, I know Nimue is literally bouncing off the walls with excitement. And it can be hard to balance all that out, because a lot of the time it just comes across as naughty behaviour to people out and about, when it's not. They're just not knowing how to channel that energy, or how to channel them feelings that this excitement is bringing up in them. So they need to find ways that they can process that and share it with the world more constructively. And it's our job to guide them through that process, but we can't do that unless we guide ourselves through it either. And that can be really hard to do. Sometimes that's harder than guiding our children through it. So for example, one of the things I do to mitigate these issues, and I'm going to have to say this quietly because they're still awake now. For example, with the elves bring an awful lot of excitement. An awful lot. So I try and incorporate that into our day as much as I can, so it doesn't upset the apple cart too much, it doesn't create too much change. So you notice from my post that they bring a lot of the stuff that we'd be doing anyway as home educators. And I just dress it up and make it look a bit fancier. But the core subject, the core routine of the day doesn't really change too much or deviate as a result. And it just blends them in a little bit easier. Anthony finds them easier to cope with that way. Although this year he's aware now and he is helping me with things. I was hoping for one other year out of him of believing in the magic, but we're recreating magic in other ways now with Anthony, such as letting him help set things up and get involved in that process of things too. And it just means that the next morning he's actually much better with Nimue as well this year, because previously he's been fighting it to get there to see them first, whereas this year he's not. He's like pushing it forward and encouraging it and saying, oh wow, Nim, look at this, and getting really into it and enjoying the magic that she's getting from it. So that's been nice to see, to be honest with you. It's been really lovely to see that. And 9 times out of 10, I just move the elves around, just move them in position, and it's like a hide and seek. So they have to find where all the elves are hidden, because we do have a few, because obviously I had 4 kids and I've fostered in the past, and we just seem to accumulate more and more elves every year. I don't even know where they're coming from. They're just multiplying. So I hide them around, and they have to go around and find where they're hidden. And that's just one of the simple things we do. It doesn't take much to do that of an evening. It's less pressure on me. And then every now and again I'll do like a theme day where we do something like we did today. We've done Charlie and the Chocolate Factory today. So that's a theme day where I incorporated it into the home ed day, and we do challenges and activities throughout the day on that theme. And it's all based around stuff that the elves have brought with them, and it's brilliant. The children love it, but it means I only have to go really creative and messy periodically, once or twice, maybe 3 times total, which works for me. And that just means as well that there's no expectation there for them to have something big and creative every day that just takes over, really. It means that if I am having a bad night, I can just move them around and it's not a surprise the next morning, because that's what normally happens. These other bigger things that I stage periodically are the rarity and only happen on occasion, and they're the special treat. I'll be sharing other mini vlogs and vids on Christmas as we go along, sharing my tough tray ideas, sharing educational ideas, resources that I've come across as well. So if you're interested in that sort of stuff, do keep an eye on my account, because I'll be sharing loads of that with you each day as we go through. Hopefully it'll give some of you some inspiration and ideas. I mean, I get a lot of ideas online myself, so, you know. And the second thing I wanted to remind everybody was, and I say this quite a lot, it's okay to just throw the day out the window. Like, I only planned our Charlie and the Chocolate Factory day last night because I knew I wasn't going to be up to doing everything that we had planned today, because we were meant to be going out today. And I just knew I wasn't going to be capable of it. So today became a very indoor-based day, and I kept them busy with crafting activities because I knew that I'd pull them in. I mean, making the ships today kept them there for about 4 hours. The pair of them stood there working together to make 2 ships while I could rest a little. I mean, I got up periodically to help them with different things when called over, but a lot of it was independent work, and they did it all themselves or helped each other. And not only is that beautiful for them to do together, but it gives me that time that I need just to take a step back, breathe, and recuperate a little, so that I'm fighting fit. It's my son's 18th tomorrow, you see. So I know tomorrow is also going to be a full-on day. So today, just the original plans for today just got thrown out the window, and I threw something else together. And I think it must have been at about 10 o'clock last night. I think I'm just going to get a load of resources off Twinkle, throw this together, and that keeps them occupied all day, and I can just... And that's the beauty of home education, really. You can just do that. That is one of the bonuses of being a home educator. And I suppose that's an advantage we have in that respect, really, because other parents don't get that luxury, because they've still got to get up, they've still got to take the kids to school regardless. No matter how overwhelmed or overstimulated their child is, they've still got to get them there. And that battle in itself can be so exhausting before they've even stepped foot out of the door. So, yeah, it is. I do see this as the silver lining of home ed, really, the fact that I can just turn around and say, oh, do you know what? We all need a breather today, or even just the kids need a breather today, and I can throw that day out the window and we can do something completely different that meets everybody's needs, or the person who's needing their needs to be given extra consideration. There's lots of things in December that can create a cause and effect situation with our children, or even ourselves. I mean, it's day 2, and I've already mentioned that I'm channeling me in it, Baba Yaga here, because I'm not drained. It's been a full-on week and I am absolutely exhausted. But yeah, things that can generate these reactions in our children can be the change or lack of routine, different foods, and this time of year a lot of people tend to eat out more socially, see people socially more. You're mingling in big crowds a lot more than usual when you're doing your Christmas shopping, or you're going to Christmas markets, or you're taking them to places and events. It can all add up and all become very overstimulating and overwhelming. So it can be good to actually give yourself a couple of days in between just to breathe as a family and let things settle down again, and try and keep some of that normal routine going in there too. You're unable to rest and recuperate as much as you normally can because it's a very demanding season. So we tend to make less time for ourselves. There's also performance anxiety, whether that be over gifts, buying or receiving them. And a lot of children do feel this in the build up to Christmas, because they know that on the day they're going to have to mask and they're going to have to put on a big show just to convince people that they are as grateful as they're feeling for these gifts. And that can be a lot of pressure on children too. In addition to that, there's the food on the day. And if you've got fussy eaters and everybody else is around making comments, it can be quite difficult for them in that respect too. So again, the reminder is not to be pushed into doing the social media Christmas, because that may not be suitable for your family. And if your family isn't going to, I mean, my family does enjoy roast dinner. I'm quite lucky in that all my children love a roast dinner, well, apart from Nimway. But all my children love a roast dinner. So they're quite happy for me to do a big Christmas dinner, or if we go to my mum's or anywhere else and there's a big Christmas dinner, they're quite happy with that. They'll eat that, they enjoy it. but other children may not. So it's okay to cook what they're going to enjoy, cook what they'll eat, cook what's special for them food-wise, because at the end of the day, that's what the day is all about, isn't it? We don't have to do what everybody else says is the social norm for the day. We can do what works for us as a family. And then obviously you've got all the current trends, like the elf on the shelf, you've got your Christmas pajamas, you've got your Christmas Eve boxes, and it becomes endless, and that can be a lot of pressure on the parents as well as the children too. And then everything just adds up and makes you overwhelmed, overstimulated, overexcited. The children tend to get a lot of sensory overload as well. It all just leads to burnout. It really does. It leads to burnout. I actually think this reminds us for myself too, not just you guys. It's for me too. I think I needed to hear this more than anyone right now. I now expect this every Christmas. I know every December, the first couple of weeks, they're going to get overexcited because they've been waiting for December to start. And in the last week or so, they're going to get excited because Christmas is just around the corner. The whole month's just a write-off. Let's be honest. However, taking that into consideration does mean I can plan and prepare. And I do that. I have backup ideas of what we can do to make things easier on certain things at certain times when I need to, really. And don't forget that people tend to only show the positives on social media, and in all honesty, I've probably been guilty of that myself too, but not through intention. Because like I say to everybody on here, you've got to do what works for your family. That's what works for my family. And when I'm having a bad day and I'm ill, I'm having a PJ day. We're doing crafts, we're watching documentaries, and we're baking in our PJs. And I'm feeling so rough and so ill that the last thing I have any energy for or any cortisol for is to pick up my phone and start recording a video for social media. So I become very insular, but that's me also walking my own talk and following my own advice, because I'm doing what works for us as a family, what works for the kids and what works for me. When it's just the children's needs and it's a day like that, we'll probably go out for a day in nature and I will record certain aspects of it and get that out there. But when I'm feeling really ill myself, and mine can affect me to the point where it can have very similar symptoms to a person in a diabetic crisis, basically. And that's not the kind of, that's not the state of mind for anybody to be recording anything in. So when I get like that, you won't see me on them days, because I literally do just need to rest and recuperate. But I am going to start recording more on days where I'm just slightly run down and I'm slightly overwhelmed and stuff like that. We'll start sharing them days a bit more just to get that balance right. One of the things that I do on days like that, where it's just me feeling where it's just me feeling rough, we have a little cup, and it is just a basic cup. It's not fancy. It's literally just a disposable party cup that I had left over from a craft thing that we were doing. I actually think they're from my daughter's 16th, and I just keep reusing them for crafts and reusing them for crafts and so on, and storage of crafty bits and stuff like that. Anyway, it's one of them cups, and it's filled with different movies, and the children get to pick one out each. They take it in turns, so they bunny hop each time, and we'll put it on the telly and we'll watch that together. So it's like little ideas like that. It still keeps the holiday magic alive. They're still doing something magical. We're still doing something as a family that they find fun and part of the season, but it allows me to have the time that I need for my health too. I mean, obviously, sometimes that can still cause chaos with the children, to be honest with you. It depends on where Anthony is with his PDA at that moment in time, on how he will react to using the mug. But on them occasions, as he's getting older, he's learning more coping mechanisms, so we will take himself off now. We will say, this one's not for me tonight, so I'm just going to go and sit off somewhere else, because otherwise I get really angry if I end up sitting here and it's going to affect the evening, and that's fine by me. And he'll go and watch a documentary or something in his bedroom or something like that instead. Board games are another thing that we do on them days as well. So we get a board game out. 9 times out of 10 it's an educational board game. But sometimes we'll just play like the fun board games as well, the simpler ones. So this is your reminder to slow down, breathe, and not get sucked into all that commercialization of Christmas, what Christmas should look like, that whole wonderful social image and expectation of what the perfect Christmas is, the movie Christmas, because at the end of the day, that's not reality, it's not real life. And we've all got individual needs and priorities and responsibilities that we have to take into consideration, and we have to do it our way, because that is the main focus of this time of year, family. So doing what works best for our family this time of year is actually the best way we can celebrate this time of year. Doing what works for our children, doing Christmas how they can appreciate it and enjoy it and embrace it and feel that magic in their own special way. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with your Christmas looking entirely different to somebody else's. In fact, that's a good thing, because they're your own traditions, and it's those unique things that our children will remember the most anyway. And you know what your child finds magical. And there'll always be times when we misjudge a situation and we do something well-meaning and think, oh, they're going to really enjoy this, and it doesn't work out. Like me yesterday, for instance. There's always going to be moments like that, especially when you're trying to cater to so many different people's needs. But the core thing is, you're their parent. You know what they're going to find magical, what they enjoy about this season, and you can pull all that into it. You can still have a wonderful, magical Christmas with your family in a way that suits you guys. I keep seeing mums of children with ASD, and they're having breakdowns online, and they're crying. The mum guilt is eating them alive. And that isn't what Christmas is meant to be about. That isn't what the season meant to be about. I mean, I celebrate Yuletide personally, and Christmas is for the kids predominantly, and for the wider family. Whereas for myself, it's about you or for me. So I don't mind a lot of the Christmas focus being on the kids, because it's for them. So I don't mind adapting it to their needs in that way. But it's a lot harder when you've got your own expectations of the season, your own fond traditions as well. And us mums just put far too much pressure on ourselves. We really do. We put far too much pressure on ourselves for one day of the year. It's just one day. And you can make that day magical. Just like you've made so many other days of their lives magical too. Pull on your mum toolkit. We've all got one. And we all know how to apply it to our children and different situations. It's no different when it's Christmas. It doesn't need to be anybody else's picture perfect Christmas. Only your family's. And if we've happened to stumble across a new seasonal trigger, well, all we do is we store that in our memory bank, and we know for next year. Because that's always going to happen. There's always going to be something new that causes a sensory overload, or something new that causes a meltdown, or something new that causes overstimulation. Because that's life. We're always going to discover these things. We're always going to discover these new things. And all we can do is learn from them, store it in our memory bank, and keep it for future reference, and apply it then. So if anybody has any questions about anything that I've mentioned in this, feel free to pop them in the comments below, and I will answer them. At the end of the day, all I can do is share how I go about the season, how I make it work for me and my children, because it's such a personal journey. We've all got such individual needs, so I can't really give direct advice and say generally to the public, oh, this is how you should be doing this and that and that, because what works for me won't work for you. And what is a picture perfect Yule and a picture perfect Christmas for my family isn't going to be your picture perfect at all. It's going to look completely different, because our children are different, we're different, everyone's different. But that's a good thing. So tap into your core knowledge about your family and do Christmas your way this year. Forget social media, forget all the posts everybody else is doing, and just do what you find magical as a family. Make it work for you guys. Well, that's me rambling on anyway. I just wanted to come on and do something quick, because I hadn't been on here in a while. Not like this anyway. I've been too run down, too busy with uni, juggling everything. So yeah, I wanted to do Vlogmas and miss yesterday. So this is today's Vlogmas video, and so this is my first Vlogmas video of 2022. I am going to try and post daily, even if it's just little ideas of what I'm doing with the children, what we're incorporating into our day, how we're going about it, or the things that we're finding magical about Christmas in the moment. I will be sharing them videos with you along the way too. So I should be hopefully posting at least once a day in relation to Christmas annual. But just in case there's any days where I'm feeling iffy just now, it's because I've gone insular and I'm recuperating. And I'll be back with you shortly. So I think I've waffled on enough. Give us a like or a follow. We are on other social media platforms. And if anybody else out there has any suggestions on how they navigate these seasonal changes with their autistic or PDA children, then please add them to the comment below as well, because it may help other people too.